we would follow the example of Sweden, where parents choose schools instead of schools choosing parents. Sweden has driven up standards in all of its schools by making one crucial change. Any parent can take the money that the government currently spends on their child's education and take that money to the school that they want.
The honourable member opposite is keen to be introduced to the Swedish model, but unfortunately not something I can arrange today. Will he tell us about the billions of pounds in cuts which the Swedish model would mean? Will he tell us that there will be surplus school places springing up everywhere, not where they're needed, but where some have the loudest voices? And will he tell us that instead of local accountability, there'll be a lottery for parents and a hugely centralised bureaucracy? No, Mr. Speaker, he won't tell us any of those.
What I perceive the Conservative policy to be in danger of doing is introducing so much variety into the system that the system is much more polarised between the best and the worst.
Enthusiasm for the Swedish education system is fashionable in the UK. This programme explores the contentious Swedish supply-side model, where the state funds a free market of independent schools, and asks whether adopting its principles can ever hope to work in our own country.
The first politician actually to look to Sweden as a way of improving education in the United Kingdom was Tony Blair. When he introduced his education white paper, one of the great successes was the establishment of the Academies programme. And we wanted to ensure that the sorts of organisations that have subsequently come into state education and provided an alternative, a better and independent way of doing things, are given the opportunity to expand. The barriers, which are currently putting them off, too much bureaucracy, problems with planning, central government direction, these are things that we want to remove in order to ensure that we have as many people as possible collaborating in driving up standards.
Sweden is a social democratic country with a strong welfare state, high levels of taxation and low ethnic diversity. At the heart of its education system is choice for parents. As valued consumers, they can effectively shop around, with the right to choose from a variety of schools in their local area. Angelica Bernier is a parent, and as a teacher as well, she understands the workings of this system from both sides.
Ja, man kan få välja alltså vilken skola man själv vill sätta sina barn. Alltså, man kan välja i stort sett överallt, beroende på. Man måste bara se till att de kommer dit och därifrån själv.
The education marketplace has been expanded to offer parents a range of different types of schools with widely differing pedagogies within the state system. And as the engine of choice, every child's schooling carries a price tag known as a voucher, which parents can spend wherever they like. In the early 1990s, schools were transferred from state to local municipal control, and independent education providers were permitted to operate within the state system. They are known as free schools, and currently some 9% of Sweden's school-aged children pass through their doors. These alternative providers are argued to have liberated the state education system, driving up standards across the board and sparking what the British Conservatives call the supply-side revolution.
A free school could be run by me, for instance. I could apply and say I'm going to start this and this school with this and this profile, but I'm going to follow the national curriculum, the Swedish school law and other decrees. Or I could be a company, I could be an organization.
But on the other hand, you also have groups where it's very clear that it's the parents who are wanting to create a good environment in schools for their own children. And in between you have a lot of other people who are, well, they are, for instance, they can have been having a long career as teachers in the municipality schools, and then they think that by starting an independent schools they will at last have the opportunity to put their ideas to work.
This is precisely the case at a little school outside Stockholm in the suburban district of Nacka, where the school was opened by a teacher who wanted a better education for her children.
I was a teacher teaching Swedish and German in the secondary school, and I was very frustrated about the way the school worked. There was very little cooperation between the teachers. Everyone, you went into a classroom, you had 40 minutes to teach the children. It took 10 minutes before everyone was settled, and you made your 40 minutes, and then bye-bye, and you went into the next classroom, you met the next children, and to me it was, I felt it was, no, this is not the way of teaching or learning, I thought.
Är ni mörtar eller är ni abborrar? Abborrar. Med de där stickiga orangea små fenorna på ryggen.
Och eftersom jag själv som lärare och pedagog så jag känner att jag vill förändra det här, annars orkar jag inte jobba i skolan längre. Det var viktigt att se, går det att åstadkomma en sån här skola? Går det att bygga upp någonting där det verkligen man kan arbeta på ett annat sätt?
Plats. Då börjar smårivandet. Riva. Så sätter man den på något sätt som man tänker att det blir nog bra.
A wide range of pedagogies accompanied the arrival of different providers, and Suzanne's school is no exception.
Alltså vår idé med skolan, det var verkligen att ge större utrymme åt skapande i skolan. Alltså bildskapande, musik, att få fantasin, att lusten skulle vara en bärande princip.
Så att, och de här har alltid 2 romsäckar, abborren har alltid en.
The school is now oversubscribed, and they are having to turn applicants away to be picked up by the local municipal schools or other free schools in the area. But they started with only 16 pupils, and it was an uphill struggle to sell the school's alternative ideas to parents in the first place.
The politicians had made the decision, and now it should be possible to do this. But no one knew. Well, I mean, because there were many questions. Well, what shall we do with this, and is this possible? And no one knew the answer. So it was like a little bit of trial and error in the beginning. När vi började första året, jag hade ingen betalning. När sen 5 barn försvann så blev det naturligtvis ekonomiskt väldigt, väldigt tufft. Men det innebar att vi var tvungna att dra ner i personalstyrkan. Och det blev väldigt turbulent under den terminen. Men sen efter det så har vi inte haft några sådana stora konflikter eller så att vi lärde oss väldigt mycket av den första konflikten.
Though trickier than in Sweden, current legislation in the UK does allow a range of organisations and groups to set up state schools, including parents. So far, only 1 secondary school has been opened with parents at the forefront in the UK, and this could only happen with unprecedented support from local government and extreme energy on the part of a group of parents in the London borough of Lambeth.
Before we even got together, there had been years and years and years of inadequate provision for local kids. So children around here who hit 11 were then getting on buses and trains and travelling for hours to go to schools that nobody else wanted their kids to go to.
It's almost as if we were turning our children into commuters. I mean, that's what it felt like, and, it's kind of, it wasn't a lesson that we felt that our children needed to learn at the age of 11.
So there had been a lot of community concern, muttering in the playgrounds, lots of people banging on the doors of their local councillors. And it's to Lambeth's credit that Lambeth discovered this piece of legislation that said it would be possible to set up a new school with parents as the kind of driving force.
Having come together in 2003, the group finally managed to establish the Elm Green School, and they now sit on the school board as parent governors.
I think if other parent groups want to do this, I would encourage them absolutely. I think that the result that we're creating is fantastic. A group of parents coming together like this can utterly transform their community.
Yes.
This school will be there for another 100 years, whatever it is. That is hundreds of thousands of children who will benefit from what we've done.
Yeah.
A new building is currently under construction, and it's due to open its doors in the autumn of 2009.
I have been contacted by several people quite a lot of people who've wanted to follow our example. But the problem that I keep finding is that lack of a site is very, very hard, particularly in London. You know, to find a site that's big enough to accommodate a secondary school is very, very hard. So it's a long haul, but it is absolutely the most worthwhile thing I've ever done.
Back in Sweden, the number of schools has risen because of this supply-side model. Independent companies are leading the way at secondary level, funded by vouchers and operating at a profit. But how does this give choice to the parents in the area? At this school, the curriculum is entirely different from others around. Students substitute lesson time for cafe time. Pupils choose their own timetable, and it feels more like a university. It's called Kunskapsskolan, or Knowledge School. It's non-selective, and parents pay with their vouchers. It's part of a chain of over 30 schools with almost 10,000 pupils spread across the country. And it's the largest independent education provider in Sweden.
Vad hette det här nu då? Runt om här? Ja, jag ska tala om för dig, i Turkiet så äter de det här. Det är en delikatess. Jag håller inte på att bråka med varandra.
In the town of Nyköping, head teacher Marcus Brunberg takes us on a tour to explain how his school differs from others in Sweden.
This is the cafeteria and the place where the students eat their school lunch, but it's also a place for the students to work during the whole day. It's also the place where the teachers come to have their coffee during the day. So they interact with the students during the whole day. The space and the open areas, I think, and I see it as a training for the student as well, for the future, because when they come to an office landscape to work, they have to learn how to focus and concentrate during the day, even though someone else is doing stuff on the side.
The emphasis is placed squarely on individualised learning in a range of different learning zones, from quiet booths and open areas to classrooms with panes of glass for walls. Students can consult teachers whenever they need their help, advice or guidance. But they are encouraged to make use of their unique logbook to manage their own time and concentrate on the work that interests them on any given day.
You get to work really independently, and you don't have a schedule that you have to follow. You have a plan instead of for each month and week, and then by that you decide what you want to do for the day to get them done.
My parents wanted me to go here because they felt like it's a great school for those who feel like they want to prepare for later in life, and I feel like I'm more motivated here.